On September 1st, 2007, a quarterback from Greenwood, South Carolina boarded a plane for the first time in his life. He had never flown before. He was 19 years old, listed at 5'11" and 180 pounds, left-handed, playing for a school most of the country couldn't find on a map. The destination was Ann Arbor. 109,218 fans packed into the big house. Fifth-ranked Michigan on one side, Appalachian State on the other side, a school from the FCS, a level below the big boys, a program everyone in the stadium treated as a scheduled warm-up. What happened next never left college football. Armanti Edwards went 17 of 23 for 227 yards and 3 touchdowns, added 62 rushing yards, and another score on the ground, accounted for all 4 of Appalachian State's touchdowns, finished with 289 yards of total offense, and with 26 seconds left, the Mountaineers led 34-32. Michigan blocked a field goal at the end. Appalachian State then blocked Michigan's field goal to win it. Final score: App State 34, Michigan 32. Sports Illustrated named it the biggest upset of 2007. Most people consider it the biggest upset in the history of college football. That wasn't even the best thing Armanti Edwards ever did. Greenwood, South Carolina, March 8, 1988. Armanti Frederico Edwards came into the world weighing 4 pounds and 11 ounces, delivered 10 days late, undersized from the start. Growing up in Greenwood, he was raised primarily by his mother, Deborah. His father, Freddie, ran a brick contracting business and stayed in Armanti's life. Sundays, eating out, trips to flea markets in Anderson and Greenville, the kind of working class routine that shapes a kid who learns to grind before he even knows what grinding means. Football didn't find Edwards early. At Greenwood High School, he started out at wide receiver and spent most of his high school career there. Midway through his junior season, someone handed him the ball and put him under center. The transition clicked fast. Nearly 1,400 passing yards and 18 touchdowns in that partial season alone. Senior year, the numbers jumped again. Over 2,000 passing yards, over 1,000 rushing yards, 29 total touchdowns. Recruiting treated him the way it usually treats small-town players. South Carolina showed interest, Vanderbilt, Memphis. Only one program sent an actual offer: New Mexico State. Appalachian State wanted him too, but without a formal offer initially. What locked Edwards into Boone, North Carolina, wasn't a scholarship battle or a bidding war. App State promised him one thing: they'd let him stay at quarterback. He took that deal and he went to work. Fall 2006. Boone, North Carolina, elevation 3,300 feet. Armanti Edwards had arrived on campus as a true freshman and looked like someone who might need a year to adjust. Coaches and teammates quickly understood that wasn't happening. After 10 starts, every program record for a freshman quarterback belonged to him. By the end of the season, 2,251 passing yards, 1,153 rushing yards, 30 total touchdowns, making him just the 5th Division I player ever and only the 2nd freshman to throw for 2,000 yards and rush for 1,000 in the same season. Vince Young and Brad Smith had done it. Now, so had the lightly recruited kid from Greenwood. App State won the FCS National Championship that year, beating UMass 28-17 in the title game. Edwards, a true freshman, won the Southern Conference Freshman of the Year award and had just delivered a national championship in his first year of college football. What nobody outside of Boone fully understood yet was what was coming next. Summer of 2007. Every morning App State players walked into the weight room, their strength coach Jeff Dillman hit play on the Michigan fight song over and over all summer. The irritation was by design. By the time the team packed for Ann Arbor, they weren't excited anymore. They were annoyed. They wanted Michigan's season to start so they could go do something about it. Michigan entered the game ranked 5th in the country, a team built around senior stars who had turned down the NFL draft to come back and win a national title. Chad Henne at quarterback, Mike Hart in the backfield, Jake Long protecting the edge, veterans everywhere. Michigan had demolished Notre Dame 38-0 just 2 weeks earlier, which tells you exactly what kind of team they were in 2007. App State wasn't on their radar as a threat. One Michigan fan blog opened its prediction for the game with the words, it's gonna be ugly. No betting line existed for the game at most Las Vegas sports books. That's how lopsided the expectation was. Nothing about the trip to Ann Arbor was familiar. Flying for the first time, walking into Michigan Stadium the day before the game and watching teammates absorb the sheer size of it. 109,000 seats of concrete stretching up in every direction. Coach Jerry Moore let the team walk around and get the wonder out of their systems early, get the oohs and ahs done, then get to work. September 1st, 2007. Michigan took the opening kickoff and scored first. Script was following the script. Then App State got the ball. Third offensive play of the game, Edwards dropped back and threw a 68-yard touchdown strike to Dexter Jackson to tie it at 7. The Big House crowd quieted for the first time. Michigan's sideline noticed that the Mountaineers could fly. What followed in the second quarter erased any remaining sense of control Michigan had over the afternoon. Edwards hit Han Batachon to tie it at 14, then found Dexter Jackson on a slant for 20 yards to put App State up 21-14. On the next Mountaineer possession, he took a quarterback keeper on 3rd and goal from the 6, dove past 2 defenders, and scored to push the lead to 28-14. Going into halftime, Edwards was 7-7 for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns, with 41 rushing yards and another score. Michigan ran to the locker room with their home crowd booing. Michigan clawed back in the second half, though, eventually retaking the lead 32-31 late in the fourth quarter on a 54-yard Mike Hart run. The Big House was roaring again. For most teams in that spot, a road game, first time many of them had ever been on a plane, 109,000 hostile fans, the comeback might have been the end of the story. App State drove down the field anyway. Edwards completed the passes that mattered. Kicker Julian Roch hit a 24-yard field goal with 26 seconds left. App State 34, Michigan 32. Michigan got the ball back, connected on a 46-yard pass to Mario Manningham, and set up a 37-yard field goal to win. Barely outside chip shot range, defensive back Corey Lynch came in untouched, blocked it clean, and the ball bounced harmlessly away. App State players flooded the field. A stadium that had come in expecting a blowout sat in stunned silence. Edwards remembered it clearly. I can remember how quiet the stadium was. We practiced all summer for a loud stadium, practicing silent count. We're not going to be able to hear each other, but once it was all said and done and we came away with the victory, just hearing how silent it was. App State went on to win the 2007 FCS National Championship too, finishing 13-2 with Edwards throwing for 1,948 yards and 17 touchdowns while rushing for 1,588 yards and 21 more scores, despite missing 4 games due to injury that season. 2 national championships in 2 years. That's where most players would have peaked and everyone would have celebrated the career and moved on. Edwards kept building. In 2008 and 2009, he became something the record books had never seen. The Walter Payton Award goes to the best offensive player in FCS football. Edwards won it in 2008, then won it again in 2009, the first player in the award's history to win it twice. Over those 2 seasons, he broke the Southern Conference all-time yardage record, set the FCS record for career rushing touchdowns by a quarterback at 65, and became only the second Division I player in NCAA history, FBS or FCS, to throw for over 1,000 yards and rush for over 4,000 in a career. Total career numbers: 14,753 yards of total offense, 139 touchdowns, 64 school records, 14 conference records, a 42-7 record as a starter. For comparison, Steve McNair, College Football Hall of Famer, is only one of 2 quarterbacks in FCS history to post 4 seasons with over 3,000 total yards of offense. Edwards matched him at a school in the mountains of North Carolina that most major programs hadn't bothered recruiting from. A degree came with it too. December 2009, just 3.5 years after arriving on campus, Edwards graduated with a 3.3 GPA in graphic arts and imaging technology. Only 2.8% of App State graduates finished in under 4 years. He did it while winning 2 national titles and setting records across 2 levels of the sport. Carolina Panthers 3rd round, 89th overall pick. What should have followed never came together the way anyone expected. Carolina converted Edwards from quarterback to wide receiver and punt returner. A difficult transition under any circumstances, made harder by a coaching change that left him without stable footing from the start. 4 years in Charlotte produced little. When GM Dave Gettleman cut him in 2013, Edwards called it the darkest period of his football life. Canada gave him a second act, several seasons of solid production as a receiver. Then in 2017, the Toronto Argonauts traded for him mid-season. That team went from worst to first and won the Grey Cup, Canada's championship. Edwards had a ring again, the same way he always seemed to find a way to be standing at the top when the seasons ended. His number 14 jersey now hangs retired at Kid Brewer Stadium in Boone, the last number App State will ever retire due to a shortage of available numbers. Canton came in 2024, inducting him into the College Football Hall of Fame, the second App State player ever enshrined. The South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame followed in 2026. So, what does Armanti Edwards actually mean to college football? Start with the game. Before September 1st, 2007, no FCS team had ever beaten a ranked FBS opponent, ever. Edwards and the Mountaineers broke that barrier in front of 109,000 people on national television in a stadium that had never heard that kind of silence on a game day. Every FCS upset that has happened since exists in the shadow of what App State did that afternoon. Past the game, the career numbers demand their own conversation. 14,753 yards of total offense, a dual threat record no quarterback at this level had touched. 4 straight conference championships, 2 national titles, 2 Walter Payton Awards, and a 42-7 record as a starter built at a school most programs overlooked, in a mountain town most recruits had never visited, by a kid who got his only real scholarship offer from New Mexico State and boarded his first ever plane to go play in front of 109,000 people. That's a lot. Michigan's Greg Matthews, who played in the game, said it plainly years later. Those guys, Dexter Jackson and Armanti Edwards, were phenomenal athletes who could have gone anywhere and been just as productive. They didn't go anywhere else. Edwards chose Boone because Boone promised him a position. He gave them everything that position could possibly produce. This is Blitz All Media. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss a video. I'll see you in the next one.